Welcome to the Manifestation Babe podcast. My name is Catherine Zinkina, and I'm a manifestation expert, master mindset coach, and multiple seven-figure entrepreneur. I'm obsessed with helping you achieve everything that you once thought was impossible. If you're looking to massively up-level your life, your finances, your relationships, your productivity and success, then you have come to the right place. My goal in this podcast is to help you see the infinite potential within yourself to be, do, and have anything that your heart desires. Think of this podcast as your weekly dose of mindset development to help you maximize who you are and where you're going. Leave it to me to provide you with the tools, the resources, the strategies, and teachings that you need to manifest a reality wilder than your wildest dreams. I know we're about to have so much fun together, so thank you so much for pushing play today. And now let's begin. Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome back to another Manifestation Babe Academy student success story with my girl, Andrea Alejandrae. So Andrea's story is one that I can relate to so much as someone who, before coming into MBA, just graduated from Washington State University with honors. Fun fact, I'm actually from the University of Washington, and these are rival schools. So I thought that was funny. And Andrea felt that pressure that I know so well. And I know that so many of you have felt, or maybe are currently feeling as well, to go to the next logical step, right? The next societal step of attending law school. But suppressing the fact that she didn't feel aligned with law school anymore led her to heavily drink and smoke. And that's when she discovered MBA, where her whole life changed. Now she travels full time with her husband in an RV. She started a shamanic apprenticeship. She lost 50 pounds, stopped drinking and smoking, and even started her own podcast. That's always been her dream. So hear all about her story and all the other incredible transformations she experienced in this interview that we're about to dive into. But before we do, remember that MBA is closing tonight. This is not a drill. This is your last chance to get inside of the program before doors officially close. So get all of the details and sign up right now at manifestationbabe.com/MBA, or you can find the link in the show notes. Well, hello, Andrea, and welcome to the Manifestation Babe podcast. How are you doing?
I'm so good. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you here. So you are an MBA alumni from the very first round that I put together, which feels like an eternity ago, but like my team kept reminding me, this is so weird. At our annual meeting, they were like, Catherine, what was the highlight of 2021? Because we do that every single year. It's like, what is the biggest like business highlight, personal highlight, whatever. And I never once mentioned MBA. And I'm like, Londa was like, Catherine, you built MBA in 2021. I'm like, I did. Oh my God, I did. It feels like an eternity ago. But anyway, you were in the very first round, and I'm super excited for you to come on the podcast and share your story, because your story is incredible. And the transformations that you've had are just unreal. And your energy is so incredible. I obviously didn't know you before, but I can tell you afterwards, like you're just shining bright, you're glowing. Like I cannot wait to hear. Before we begin, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, what is it that you do? Just some background info that you would like to share.
Yeah. So currently I am a licensed massage therapist. I am an energy worker and Reiki practitioner. I'm also really opened up to my psychic abilities and my spiritual world since the MBA. And so I'm actually going through a shamanic apprenticeship, and hopefully by April or May, I will officially become a shaman of the Essene way. So my world heavily revolves around spirituality and spiritual personal development and growth. I call myself like a spiritual junkie. Like I've always been like more and more. But yeah, so that's what I do. I glow.
I mean, we have a lot in common. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So up my alley. Were you into this kind of stuff before MBA? Was this like a lifelong thing, lifelong journey, lifelong obsession? Or was it like all of a sudden the last like year or two or whatever that you were like, oh, wait, there's more to life than just 3D and I want to explore that?
Yeah, that's such a good question, because even though I started doing massage therapy in 2016, I was always kind of like one foot in the door and one foot like trying to impress my mom, trying to impress my family.
Yeah.
I was determined to go to law school. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, this was like the biggest push. I feel like everyone who's ever heard your story is collectively on your grandma's couch and we're like, Catherine, who are you living for? Like, that was my big, like, Andrea, who am I living for? I actually had this like dream job in a law firm in downtown Portland for an attorney. And I was like, this is going to skyrocket my career. I had just finished. So I graduated from Washington State University. And I was like pushing and forcing myself to do the LSAT prep, to do all of like the quote unquote steps. And then COVID hit and I was let go from my dream job and I felt so miserable. And I was like looking for pretty much anything. But at the same time, I was so not capable of receiving not even like outside help, but I wouldn't even help myself. Like, I was in a place where I was so stuck on this idea that success only came from being a lawyer or being whatever it is that I had wanted to be. And I started listening to a lot of podcasts. I was severely overweight. I was drinking every single day, smoking every single day, just like the worst that I've ever been. And it didn't start then. I think that was just like where it reached a breaking point for me.
Yeah.
It was all of this that had been building up. And then once this facade of the perfect life fell away, I was able to dive deep and be like, ooh, this isn't working for me anymore. So I started listening to podcasts after podcasts, and I found your podcast. I don't remember how, to be honest. It just like showed up on my to listen to, and I did. And once I started, I could not stop. I would walk for like 2 or 3 hours because COVID, there's nothing else to do.
Right, yeah.
And I would just listen to all of the podcasts. I started from the very beginning and then I worked my way up. And then I would go back and re-listen to episodes just over and over. So when TMBA finally like came around, it literally took me up until like the last moment. Like, I was like, no, I'm not going to sign up. Like, no, I didn't even have a job, right? Like, I didn't have any form of income. My husband was also staying home. Like, he didn't really have a form of income. We had just purchased our first home thinking that I had this big old fancy job. And then I got let go.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I can't afford this. I think internally now, retrospect, like hindsight 2020, I'm like, oh, I didn't believe I was worthy of investing in myself. But I pulled up the website on my phone. I was still laying in bed and everything was like, you got to sign up. Like, this is for you, Andrea. You have to do this. And then I closed out of it and I like went above my day. And then I got the email that was like, this is your last chance. Like, this is it. If you are being called to do this, like, you got to do it now because you're not going to get another chance for X amount of time. I did it. And I remember clearly like piecing together, like penny pinching in other areas so that my husband wouldn't know that I signed up for this program, which again, at the time I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much money. Like, I don't know where I'm going to come up with the money to do this. And I'm so incredibly thankful that I did. And it did not, I kid you not, it took maybe a few weeks for me to pretty much make the entire investment back. And it was like, yeah, it was so quick. And what I started to realize was it wasn't just I'm manifesting money, I'm manifesting clients, I'm manifesting X, Y, and Z. It was really I'm changing from like the deepest parts of my core and my belief, and everything that I thought that I stood for was someone else's idea of success or happiness or whatever, fulfillment. And it had nothing to do with my actual bliss and my actual joy. And so I think what one of the biggest gifts TMBA really gave me was kind of like opening the floodgates to rediscovering myself and rediscovering who I am. But something I really like tell everyone, because I talk about TMBA all the time, like MBA is the best thing ever. But one of the things I tell everyone is it wasn't easy. It wasn't here's the program, go through the steps and you're going to have these amazing manifestations and life-changing, epiphanies. It was, I submerged myself in this program for months. It didn't take me the typical, I don't know what it was, like 16 weeks. I didn't even finish like when everyone else finished. I took every single module and I would listen to it and I would implement it. And then I would go back and like see where I missed stuff. It literally became my life for months. But because of this priority that I gave not only the program, but myself, and like realizing that I was worthy of not just the money, but the time, the effort, the tears that I put into this, it has been the most rewarding thing that I have done for myself in, I want to say, like my entire life. And that sounds like a really big, like a big statement, but even my husband was talking about, how transformational it has been internally and externally. Like I had struggled with alcohol and substance abuse for years, and it was something that was generational. And I've removed myself from the ego of like, oh, I'm a, alcoholic or non-alcoholic or whatever. But I don't even remember when my last drink was. Like I don't drink anymore, like at all. And I don't smoke at all. And I work out and I do all of these things that happened so naturally because the essence and my core shifted.
Do you feel
Sorry, that was like the most long-winded answer.
Oh my God, no, I love it. I love it. I'm just curious because do you feel like the reason why, because this actually happened to someone really close to me, where once they finally started to live the life that was authentic to them and they let go of a relationship and they healed their heart and did all these things, multiple rounds of plant medicine too, that at some point they didn't need the drink or the smoke to like fill those voids because they no longer had those voids. The voids were filled through the actual healing rather than these things. They're like covering up the pain. Would you agree with that? Like that was the situation for you too?
Yeah, I think for me, it was almost like I was allowed to express myself and be authentic if I had a drink in my hand, because I could kind of like hide behind the fact that, oh, I'm like drinking alcohol, so I get to be happy and joyful and loud and, express myself 1,000%. But with all of the healing that I've done and all of the work through this program, that I can really uncover all of those layers that have been hidden away. I'm not afraid to show up and go dancing, even if I'm drinking or not drinking, which now I don't. But, like it took me and it wasn't like cold turkey. It was more of like, the more that I progressed in my healing, the less I noticed that I wanted to come home and have an entire bottle of wine. And then the less I wanted to come home and have a glass of wine. And then I was like, I don't want a glass of wine. I don't want anything at all. I actually just want to sit down and like do my breath work. Like breath work was a game changer for me, and the hypnosis, things like that, where I would literally come home and put my headphones on and do the work. And that for me was, I want to say, almost like it replaced that addiction in the healthiest way. And it's, it's kind of like based in psychology that people who have an addictive personality will kind of find a new addiction. But with transitioning from a substance to self-healing, it's like probably one of the healthiest addictions to have, is to continue to want to self-heal and grow and improve. And I haven't found that even on the days where I feel at my worst, I'm ever back at like the baseline where I was at before. Like literally my baseline has shifted. It has elevated, and so has my ceiling at that point. So
Andrea, you're like my favorite student ever. Like I love the people who they find this program, and I find this very, very often. So if you're listening right now and you're someone who's on the fence, like Andrea was till the very, very last minute, like this program, the way that I designed it, it is not surface level whatsoever. It is extremely deep, sometimes painful, excruciating. Like there's going to be moments where you're going to be like, what the fuck is this? Like, who is Catherine? She's actually an evil witch that's making me do this. And I'm crying every single day because of it. And I find that MBA finds people who are literally like ready for that transformation. Like if they come across MBA, it's not because you're like curious, like, what would it feel like to live my dream life? Or I wonder, like, it's not even a wondering, it's like a soul knowing that I am ready. I've been ready for a really long time. I just had to get myself there consciously. And once the conscious and the subconscious align, it's like, boom. And then you sign up. And if you put in the work, like Andrea did, you will live a completely different life. Like, I promise you. Andrea, can you kind of share like what has happened since the
Oh
program?
my gosh. What has not happened?
Picture of your life today, please.
Yes, I live in a 17-foot trailer that I get to travel with my husband and my two dogs. We manifested that trailer within like 4 weeks. We got an offer to move to Montana. We agreed instantly. And I started trusting my intuition to where I was really like deep in my gut. I'm a sacral generator. So I was like deep in my gut. I was like, yes, this is a yes. And I like following that yes has led me to so many manifestations. Like I showed up in Montana and we had a job and then it fell through. And something like deep inside me was like, go to this one place, like go and see if they can hire you. And we show up and we got hired on the spot, and it's not just like some random spot. It was a 5-star Forbes rated Relais Chateau spa.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
resort. Yeah. So it was like all of these things where I was like, I didn't even know that this existed, but it was one of the most amazing experiences. And then we manifested a second truck with literally like no income. I have no idea how it happened, but we showed up at the dealership. We needed a brand new truck because we were going to keep moving. And my husband's like, how are we supposed to do this? Like, I don't think this is going to work. And I was like, no. I am a manifesting queen. Like, just sit and watch. And I kid you not, we manifested a second truck and we manifested the perfect tenant to put into our home. I manifested this amazing apprenticeship program. I allowed myself to release the idea of like needing to go to law school. And that in and of itself brought in so many like tiny manifestations. Like I wasn't doing massage therapy at the time, but once I released that idea of law school, it was like they were flocking to me. They were like trying to pay me to get on my table. And I wasn't advertising. I wasn't doing anything different. And throughout this program, I was like, I'm worth more money. Like, I'm not charging enough money for my work. I'm worth more money. I didn't actually tell anyone that I had made this decision. It was an internal shift. People started tipping me like $25, $50, like just out of nowhere. I didn't tell anyone, but I started giving off the I'm worth more money vibe, and people were paying me more money. I also have been, I think that when we think of manifestations, it's always like, what did we get? But I think it's also like, what were we able to release? I will say one of the best outcomes for me has been my relationship with my mom, my relationships with my friends, my husband. They've all been so enriched by me changing my life and by me becoming this like best, highest evolution of who I get to be right now. I've noticed the difference in everyone else around me. And so I've not only been able to like receive abundance and love and prosperity, but also releasing all of these attachments that weren't serving me anymore, and releasing that idea that like I need people to like me for me to like myself. That was probably a really big one too.
That is humongous. I mean, that is so impressive. That is so amazing. I just want to let you know that I'm so proud of you. Like, I know this shit's not easy. I know like that connection that we can build deep inside of us that lies to us and convinces us that there's only this one path to success, and it's like medical school or law school. And I totally relate to that freedom that you feel when you release like law school is not the answer to my happy, successful, fulfilling life. Like for me, when I finally released medical school, it's like my whole life just shifted overnight. Like it just took off. And maybe not in the 3D physical reality took off, but like mentally, emotionally, psychologically, like I just felt like I could finally focus myself on what actually made me happy and what actually was serving me, which is like building an online business at the time. And then putting all of my energy, instead of splitting it, to being like, yeah, but I don't know, maybe I should go to medical school. Like once I said, fuck no, that's not even an option, put all my energy into this. It's like then I was able to actually grow Manifestation Babe. Like Manifestation Babe would not exist today if I kept thinking about medical school, regardless of whether I went to it or not. Just putting your energy into thinking like, just because mom or dad or grandma, grandpa, or whoever, it could be like multiple generations. In fact, in my family, it is multiple generations that wanted to go to medical school, and everyone kept like some situation would happen. Like my mom would immigrate and have like a kid. My grandma, like her health went downhill, and like they all wanted to be doctors. And so they just kept passing it down to the next kid. And of course, like it gets heavier and heavier and heavier because you feel like the whole lineage like stack up and you're like, oh my God. And I can only imagine like if I still thought that and then I pass it on to my child, it's even heavier on them. So just like releasing that, it opens up so much freedom. And I wish more people understood that. It doesn't have to be medical school, law school. It could just be a fulfilling like a container or limitation that you're putting on yourself, where maybe you thought that you had to have a certain job or had to have a certain business to be successful. And though that was like your own choice at one point, right now it doesn't serve you anymore. And so by even still like not letting go of that, you're preventing yourself from really going for what you actually want. And that can also hold you back. So really good points that you bring up that I'm so excited for anyone who's listening. Like the gears are shifting. I know you're starting to think about things differently, which is awesome. And Andrea, for anyone who is listening right now and they're on the fence of MBA, just like you were last year, till the very last day, to the very last moment, and you care deeply about them and you want them to know, what is possible for them in this program, what is it that you would tell them?
I think that I would definitely say it's time to take a chance on yourself. And if you haven't already like subscribed, or if you haven't already like signed up, then what's holding you back is only you. And it's probably that fear that you're going to sign up and you're not going to finish, or you're going to sign up and it's not going to work and it's not going to, change your life and create this drastic ripple effect, when you're the only one who has the power to do that. But Manifestation Babe Academy gives you all of the tools, and you can always go back and reference them. And I was like one of the most stubborn people ever. And I will say that my walls have completely been shattered, and it's changed my life. It's changed the people around me. It's not just, for you, it's about you. Take that leap for you. You deserve that, but it's so much more. It's literally game changing for everyone that you love, everyone that loves you. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you thrive. And if you want all of the tools in one place, then this is the place.
Oh, Andrea, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your super kind and amazing feedback for MBA. I really, really appreciate that. And thank you so much for gracing us with your amazing energy. You have some of the most amazing energy that I've ever felt. Like it's just so, it's so good to be in your presence, So hopefully you guys are feeling good listening to Andrea. Where can we find you? I know you have a podcast that you started.
Yes.
You have an Instagram, so share all the places, all the things of where people can learn more about you and learn more about your work.
Yay. Okay. So the podcast also, just a side note, is a product of another manifestation from TMBA. It's called The Law of Love, and you can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. And my personal Instagram is Cosmic Dust with the dot in between Cosmic and Dust, and then Cosmic has 3 S's. You can also find me on the Instagram podcast at The Law of Love .podcast. Can we add that to the show notes? I actually have no idea what it is.
Yeah. So we'll get the correct links from you and then put them in the show notes so you guys can check that out. And again, there is very limited time to get inside of Manifestation Babe Academy. By now, you know where to go, manifestationbabeacademy.com. We will not be opening up another round for many, 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 many months, just like Andrea, when she was signing up. Same situation here, but it's so worth it. And I truly believe that if you're listening to this podcast right now is the time for you. You are here for a reason, and I cannot wait to see you inside. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. And you too, Andrea. Thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you absolutely loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on iTunes so that I can keep the good stuff coming your way. If you aren't already following me on social media, come soak up the extra inspiration on Instagram by following @ManifestationBabe or visiting my website at manifestationbabe.com. I love and adore you so much and can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. In the meantime, go out there and manifest some magic.